Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. Happy New Year, everyone. We're on the second day of the year and we're on the first Friday news dump of the year. Let's get into the first weekend of 2026, in which you're not going to have to worry about the news because we're telling you everything that's happening before the weekend, so you don't got to worry about it. This is the first and only international game show, Before Coffee, a father and daughter news podcast in which we look up our stories right before we've started. We've just got caffeine in our bodies and we're learning to read and speak live on stream. We're going to roll that segue wheel, but first, let's get into today's headlines. Today on Friday's News Dump. Romania sends medevac aircraft for Crans, Montana fire victims. 6 young people with serious burns are transferred to France. That's an update on the fire we talked about yesterday. And hundreds of flights are canceled at Schiphol due to winter weather in the Netherlands.
Winter weather, what's that?
A lot of hail, honestly. It's been hailing all day.
And we're going to go to space for our first segment, as SpaceX is going to lower their Starlink satellites to reduce collision risk, because there sure is a lot of them up there. And plus, scientists want to turn the moon into a gas station? What?
In more news, there's an illegal rave in Senzanjo Reservoir in Albacete, and it's threatening to last until Three Kings Day in Spain. Plus, the UK's manufacturing recovery has picked up pace in December as demand grows.
And you can only keep people down for so long. It's day 4 of Iran protest as rallies spread and regime change calls grow.
In my culture news, big BTS announcement. They are coming back in March. They're releasing their album they haven't had an album in 4 years. So other than their anthology album they released in 2022, this is their first album in a long time. Get excited.
That's right. And it's National Buffet Day. So fill her up. Belly up and go back for 9 trips. You won't have to eat for the rest of the week. Stuff it in your pockets. Put it in your purse. It is January 2nd, 26. Sorry, I did my first missed year. It's January 2nd, 2026 on Before Coffee. Well, it's 26.
You gotta be careful with that. I mean, everyone's always like this in January. Whoops! I don't know what year it is. I have to catch myself. Yeah, the worst part is typing and writing, because you have to catch yourself. You know, oh, I put 5, or I have to make sure like all of the things that say the date are the right date. Because yeah, it's definitely already happening to me.
My life hack for that was to just write 20. Write the year on the date thing on your check, which I don't write checks anymore, but when I did that, I just write the date and all the checks, right? Write the year and all the checks.
In advance, and like, hopefully I use all of these.
I'd write at least 10 checks a month back in those days. So it was
okay.
We're talking about 90s here.
Yeah, right. A while ago. I don't think I haven't written a check in a very long time. I don't even have a checkbook, so they don't really use checks in Europe anymore.
I think I've written a few. I do have checks. I have a checkbook I got like 10 years ago. I've used half of it probably.
Because I remember there's always people who are traveling to Europe and they'd be like, oh, just use a cashier's check for that. And it's like, nobody will cash out a cashier's check in Europe. You're going to be searching far and wide to find one person who's going to be like, yeah, we'll cash that out. They don't exist anymore.
Not cashier's check. I get one every month.
Yeah, I'm just saying you couldn't go to Europe and cash it out. You won't find a bank who will accept to do that, to take the risk or whatever. They're like, what the hell is this? Where's your hash code in your...
Cashier's check?
Yes.
They don't have cashier's check? Really?
No, they don't use them.
No idea.
It's an American thing. It's a stereotype on American tourists. You know what's an American tourist? When they ask, hey, where can I cash out my cashier's check? And then every European goes, what the hell is a cashier's check?
I think they're talking about traveler's checks. That used to be a thing.
Oh,
too.
yeah, sorry.
American
Well, it doesn't
Express.
matter. They don't use checks here. I haven't seen yeah.
Traveler's checks. I used to go to foreign countries and find an American Express, actual American Express bank. Like I found an American Express bank in Mexico City. So
that's where you have to go. Sadly.
I believe American Express are worldwide, and that's where you get your cash. They used to just take them as cash. I don't know if that exists anymore. They used to be a thing. Because I travel. And
they get robbed outside the bank.
They can't do anything with those checks. They're made out to you. They're your checks, not cash. If they get stolen, the people that steal them can't use them. They get canceled. They were stolen. Serial number's canceled. They scan it. It doesn't work. So there's a system in place to block them. It isn't. That's why you take them instead of cash. There used to be a commercial long time ago about Carl Malden, who played a detective on TV, right? This woman just had her purse stolen in Paris, and it was all cash. And she's like, she didn't have American Express, and you didn't have American Express traveler's checks. What will you do? What will you do? They scared the shit out of you. You better get those.
Not sponsored by American Express, by the way.
Somebody is going to. Well, if they want to sponsor us, I'm all up for it.
Well, we've already given them a free sponsorship, so why would they pay us now? Anyways, let's roll our segue.
I don't think that helps because I don't even think they even do that anymore. I don't even.
That's why I'm just saying. That's why streamers never mention brand names because they want to be paid to mention a brand name.
Yeah, the ones with sponsored, the ones with
yeah. All right, your first segue is a haiku.
Hold on, they're knocking down my door to sponsor us. What was it? Sorry, I have my notepad. Haiku, gotcha. Right. January 2nd, 26. New Year.
My first story is about an update on our story we did yesterday about the terrible fire that happened in the Swiss mountains in just a cabin, basically. It just went up in flames and a lot of people were injured and died. This is a story from Digi24, a Romanian source, so they're going to be talking about themselves as they sent a medevac aircraft for the fire victims, as well as help transfer from some people with serious burns to France. The National Emergency Committee has adopted a decision on the provision of air medical transport capacity, MEDVAC, in support of the Swiss authorities, following the request made by the Swiss Confederation through the European Civil Protections Mechanism. According to the Department for Emergency Situations DSU, medical transport is carried out with an aircraft of the Ministry of National Defense, configured for medical missions, and assistance during the flights is provided by specialized medical personnel from the UPU SMURD Bucharest. The missions are carried out under the coordination of the DSU in accordance with the European procedures. The head of the DSU, Raid Arafat, stated that, if necessary, one of the military planes could be used to transfer critical or less critical patients to specialized medical units in other European countries. Thus, an aircraft of the Ministry of National Defense is already prepared for medical mission on the Lausanne-Paris route in order to transfer patients with serious burns to hospitals in France. Also, last week, Friday, which was what was Friday? I don't remember what Friday was anymore. Friday, oh no. Sorry.
The 26th.
Today, I guess. Also today, on the 2nd of January, another Romanian Air Force aircraft was used to transport a Romanian burn patient to Belgium, and upon return, it brought other patients undergoing treatment to the country. Defense Minister Radu Mirotu announced today on January 2nd that a Romanian military aircraft is ready to take off to transport 6 young people with serious burns injured in the fire in the mountain resort of Cranes, Montana. The decision was made following the decision of the National Committee for Emergency Situations. According to the minister, the aircraft is to carry out humanitarian flight on the Lausanne-Paris route with patients to be transferred to hospitals in the French capital. These days, the Army's support for humanitarian missions has been requested again. And yes, the Army helps without thinking, without asking who pays the expenses or whether or not money was provided in the budget. I will regulate these aspects in the 26 budget, the Minister of Defense wrote on a Facebook post. Still using Facebook. Radu Mirota emphasized that the decision to approve humanitarian flights was an immediate one, citing the humanitarian nature of the intervention. Because beyond ranks and positions, the Omni is about people. Life does not choose between rich and poor, between minister and janitor. When someone is in need, you don't ask why or how much it costs, you act, he said. The minister also referred to the humanitarian flight carried out on Friday, today, the January 2nd, by a C-27J Spartan aircraft of the Romanian Air Force on the Otopina Craiova-Brussels route, as well as the second humanitarian mission organized at the request of Switzerland. In this context, Switzerland activated the EU Civil Protection Mechanism, the announcement being made on the 1st of January, Thursday evening, by the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. France has already begun receiving wounded people in hospitals. It's funny, it's really interesting because, for people who don't know, Switzerland is not part of the EU. They are in the Schengen zone, which is the common economic area, but they are not actually part of the EU. But they somehow can activate the EU Civil Protection Mechanism as a non-member of the EU. Interesting. France has already begun receiving wounded people in the hospitals. The fire that broke out in the crowded bar in the resort of Trans-Montana on New Year's Eve left at least 40 dead and 115 injured, many of whom suffered serious burns. An investigation by the Swiss authorities is still ongoing, so we haven't found any updates on that, but we have updates on the people. They've activated the mechanism to get people transported out of there into burn centers all over Europe to make sure they get the care they need. That's my story on that, or my update.
Okay, update on the death and destruction, totally unnecessary. And absolutely, of course, it did report yesterday that fireworks are actually banned there because of the dry climate.
Yes, we did talk about that.
Hey, sparklers aren't fireworks. Yes, they are, and they burn very hot. So, yeah, they don't burn cold. They burn out fast for sure, but they can also throw sparks to other things. So, my haiku says, New Year is better when you celebrate in snow, where fireworks banned. Because you got to keep bringing up the old great white thing where the idiots thought it was a good idea to set off fireworks indoors.
Yep. Definitely never do that. I don't care what temperature it is. My next story.
Right.
For your next haiku is about
the
weather where I live. Here in the Netherlands, flights have been canceled because there's been hail, snow, and ice everywhere. It's been hailing all day here in my village anyways, and I live quite close to the airport. This is from NOS News. Hundreds of flights at Schiphol Airport have been canceled due to the wintry weather. Hundreds of flights have also been delayed, according to a KLM spokesperson, which is the kind of national airport airline service in the Netherlands. It's difficult to say how many cancellations and delays there are at this time. That's how many there are. There's a real disruption to the flight schedule due to an unpleasant combination of wintry weather and strong winds. Schiphol advises travelers to check latest flight information before departure, as the number of delays may change throughout the day. We are closely monitoring weather developments, says the KLM spokesperson. Due to the unpredictability of the weather, it's difficult to say exactly how many flights will be affected. It's feared the problem at the airport could continue throughout the day. Passengers will be informed as soon as possible and rebooked on to the next available flight, KLM said. The NOS weather presenter Rosemary Knoll said about the weather, tonight and overnight into Saturday, the 3rd of January, numerous showers will continue to move across the country. There is a chance of thunderstorms and hail, especially along the coast. Further inland, the showers will mainly bring snow. The snow showers could build up a snow cover of several centimeters. Temperatures will be around or slightly below freezing, meaning the snow could remain on the ground until Saturday morning. There's also a risk of slippery conditions because roads were wet with melting snow or hail freeze as soon as the road surface temperature drops below freezing. This type of slipperiness is much harder to see than a layer of snow on the road, making it particularly treacherous, Saturday and Sunday, the 4th of January, we'll see a little change in the weather. Winter showers will continue and go with occasional sunny breaks. Daytime temperatures will warm up to just about freezing. During a wintry shower, it will quickly cool down again. It will freeze at night, especially in places where snow is still remaining. It will be a fraction colder with a chance of moderation to severe frost. Temperatures will range between -5 and -10 degrees Celsius, which is about, I want to say like -30 or something. Wait, am I doing the math correctly? That's not correct math. If 0 is 32, and then we go below it. Okay, so it'll be like 26 Fahrenheit. There we go. That's better. 26 to 20 Fahrenheit.
Can I skate? Why skating?
Yeah, maybe. The problems that ship are the result of a combination of factors. For example, the runways need to be cleared of snow, and the de-icing of the aircraft also has an impact. Yeah, you don't want heavy ice on the top of your planes. The strong westerly winds also means that only 2 runways are available for departures and landings, says a spokesperson for Air Traffic Control, the Netherlands, LVNL. Normally, there are 3 available runways. Currently, due to the winter conditions, approximately 20 aircraft can land and 20 aircraft can depart per hour, according to LVNL spokesperson. During peak hours, Schiphol normally handles approximately 60 aircraft per hour. That's quite a delay indeed. 40 planes have to wait for their turn. Weather conditions are also expected to have an impact on Schiphol flights tomorrow. Flights at Eindhoven Airport, which is across the country on the east side of the country, and Rotterdam, which is more south, are not yet affected by the weather. So it's only Schiphol, which is the busiest, and I think Eindhoven might be slightly international. But Schiphol is definitely the largest international airport in the Netherlands and in Europe. It actually gets a lot of flights from other, outside of EU. So these delays are affecting a lot of people. But besides that nuisance, there is a lot of snow fun. So if you have snow where you live, go out there and make a snowman, throw some snowballs, have some fun. Don't forget to shovel your... people don't really have people do have driveways here. Don't forget to shovel the sidewalks and the driveways or something. And watch out for that black ice, which is when there's ice on asphalt, a dark surface, and it's see-through and you don't see it and you step right on it and slip and slide all over the place. That's my update on the news here in the Netherlands. You're muted.
Some snowshoes. Hey.
Yeah, get some snowshoes.
Buy some snowshoes is what I was saying. Yeah, get some snowshoes. Yeah, man, it's snowing. Okay, my haiku is snow everywhere. But I planned a trip to Laos. Not lousy weather.
Oh, dear.
I had to find a 1-syllable country, and Laos came through, even though it's kind of 2 syllables.
Lousy weather. Pretty good. Thanks, Laos.
Well, that was good.
Next segue in your story.
Poor little southeastern Asian country of Laos catching strays from our show for no reason.
It is a accurate metaphor or simile.
Metaphor or simile. I was just looking up the Great White. Remember I talked about the group Great White who accidentally killed 100 people with their indoor pyrotechnics, and their manager went to prison for it. 100 counts of manslaughter. That happened on your birthday. Did you know that? In 2003.
No, I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's
right.
fun.
That happened on what? Your 9th birthday. There was a giant fire. Just absolutely stupid. It was in Rhode Island too, and so it was cold outside, right? So they probably had the heat on too. Made it even worse because it dried everything out. All right, so let's do the first story, which will be short. The SpaceX will lower Starlink satellites to reduce collision risk. This is from Thomas Rickard from TheVerge.com. We don't care about his biography necessarily. Let's do the next line. Yeah, next line. After one of its Starlink satellites exploded and another narrowly avoided colliding with a Chinese satellite, SpaceX says it will lower the orbit of thousands of Starlink satellites to increase safety. That'd probably improve your signal too.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
maybe.
getting close. Yeah.
Less radio interference.
It'll decrease the delay. It'll decrease the delay too, because you'll be closer, right? There'll be, not that you notice the delay that much anyway, but there's going to be even less of one. After one of the Starlink satellites exploded and another narrowly avoided colliding with Chinese satellites. That's what happened. Of the over 9,000 Starlink satellites currently operating in low Earth orbit, SpaceX says it will lower about 4,400 from 550 kilometers above the Earth's surface, and they're not giving us the miles, so figure it out for yourself, to about 480 kilometers in the months ahead. This ensures the satellites deorbit faster when something goes wrong or when they reach end of life, and also reduces the likelihood of collisions since the number of debris objects in planned satellite constellation is significantly lower, below 500 kilometers. 500 kilometers, roughly what? Let's do a quick conversion. 500 kilometers is going to be fewer miles, and it's probably going to be 300 kilometers, I would just say. I'm just throwing that out there because kilometer is 0.6 of a mile. So you multiply 500 times 0.6 and you get what? You get 300. That's the truth. By the end of the decade, there could be as many as 70,000 satellites orbiting in low Earth orbit, which again, there's less space the closer you get to Earth. There's less space for these satellites as a globe gets bigger, you can go bigger and bigger and bigger, but if you get smaller and smaller and smaller, things have to be closer together. So that's even more dangerous if they're going to keep doing that. The region of space about 160 kilometers, that's low Earth, is considered 160 kilometers or 100 miles to 1,200 miles, which is 2,000 kilometers, above the Earth. If private and government-led efforts meet their targets, that's what more satellites up there. That's basically it. Oh, SpaceX had another record-setting year in 2025 and conducted over 160 Falcon 9 missions, and more than 120 of them dedicated to expanding the Starlink constellation. Starlink now serves 9.25 million active customers in over 155 countries, markets, and territories. That doesn't seem like a lot, right? Only 9 million customers? You think they must be charging them a premium or something, because that doesn't seem like...
I bet they want it to be in the billions, but...
Yeah, it seems like 9.5 million is basically, a lot of those customers are probably military, and I wouldn't count on Starlink for my military. Because
what's the point of being a crony for Trump if you're not going to get a bunch of, government contracts, right? For your satellites.
A bunch of satellites, only 9 million people are using worldwide. Is kind of
I think if I remember correctly, Ukraine was using Starlink, and then he turned them off during the war.
Oh, yeah.
The start of the war, and it was a big drama. Like, dude, just say you're working for Putin. Like, what the hell are you doing, cutting off the internet to an entire country because they're in a war? Very weird behavior.
Right. Yeah. We know Elon Musk's a bad actor. We know he's a pile of shit. It's pretty obvious. It should be obvious to everybody right now. But there's your story. Was that your...
Yes, I have a simile here. Where is it? I wrote it down somewhere. Crap. Like a flock of paper cranes caught in a storm, the SpaceX satellites tumbled through the cosmos.
Oh.
Specifically into other people's satellites, right? They tumbled directly into that Chinese satellite.
Yeah, we have another story, and it's taking place above the clouds again, way out there in places we are never going to go. At least I'm not, unless somebody blasts me out there out of anger or something. NationalGeographic.com has a story about, this is actually my idea. My thing is, forget Mars. Let's just launch things from the moon, right? We can launch things. We don't even need jet propulsion to escape moon's gravity. We just give it a push and it goes forever in that direction until it hits something else, right? Let's do the story. One way or another, humans are returning to the moon, and this time they're staying. Both the United States and China plan to build their own lunar bases on the lunar South Pole. I wonder if they're going to fight over it. That's my piece of dirt. That's what we've been doing as humans ever since the invention of humans. That location isn't random. It's thought to contain reserves of precious water, either in the form of ice, buried water, or both. You could actually harness solar power while you're up there too, you know, right, guys? Anyway, those reserves could be used to hydrate astronauts, grow crops, and make rocket fuel. That last application may sound surprising, but the chemistry is pretty basic. Yeah, you know what rocket fuel is, right? What's rocket fuel? Does anybody know? Anybody in class know what rocket fuel is?
Wait, isn't it made out of, it's not made out of gasoline, it's made out of something else.
No, rocket fuel is compressed hydrogen and compressed oxygen, and they're released at the same time.
Yeah.
High volume, and you get a rocket lifted off into space, and the waste product is water vapor. So yeah,
that's why there's so much well, steam, I guess, so to say, for lack of a better word, when it goes off, right? There's so much.
Yeah. And I just said this, but the next paragraph is going to explain it again. The last application may sound surprising, but the chemistry is pretty basic. Water is made up of hydrogen and oxygen. And in liquefied, both of these elements can ignite and be used very effective, propel spacecraft. That's right. Rocket scientist, you do not have to be to know that, right? Because I'm not a rocket scientist. I've known this since, when did they start sending shit to the space? When did I start watching things on there? 68, maybe, I started watching space launches. And I would ask, because at least some of my brothers and sisters had brains, and I would, what are they using? What's that made of? Did you know that's actually just oxygen and hydrogen? And I say, really? And I had no idea what the hell that meant, but years later I did. The benefits of abundant propellant produced in the lunar surface are enormous. A mechanical engineer at the Colorado School of Mines, water is the oil of space. Yep, it's you put it on a space hinge and it stops squeaking. It's just exactly what it is. There's your metaphor. Don't try to use it now. None of the technology needed to turn water into fuel comes from science fiction. It says none of the technology to turn water into fuel comes from science fiction. It all exists in one form or another already, but it's only ever been properly used on Earth. We say properly used, like we're properly using water. No, we're polluting the water. That's what we're doing. The
problem with using water for fuel, if I want to say this real quick, is that we won't have any water for ourselves, and then what will we do?
Yeah, we're not going to run out of water anytime soon. Just drinkable water, just stuff we can actually drink. Yeah, that's what we're going to run out of. The Earth is mostly water and getting like 80% probably. If you count the
I'm
ice,
just saying,
right?
if we look at what we've done with other things, we've used a lot of it up, and it hasn't come back. So I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if humans figure out a way to use all the water in the world.
Water doesn't go anywhere. Water doesn't go anywhere. The only time we ever get more water on Earth is when a meteorite crashes. But the water doesn't go anywhere. Water does not leave Earth. It's either frozen, or it's vapor, or it's water. That's the only three states that exist. It never goes anywhere. Clean water is a problem, not water. We got plenty of water. Ask Florida if they got a water shortage. They don't. It's clean water. Okay, back to the story. The low gravity, extreme nature of lunar South Pole is quite different setting to our own planet. We have no clue if it'll work under these conditions, says turning water into fuel is what he's talking about. Says Paul Zabel, researcher with DLR Institute of Space Systems in Bremen, Germany, and there's only one way to find out. Water divining in the moon, they're saying this is a thing. The first step will be figuring out where the moon's water is hiding. Astronauts have yet to recover a lunar South Pole themselves, recon the lunar South Pole themselves. And although evidence from orbiting probes from both NASA and the Indian Space Agency have determined that it does contain water, there might not be an abundance of it. When hit by sunlight, the lunar surface can hit 250 degrees Fahrenheit. While in darkness, it can plunge to 410 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, you might want to stay in your spacesuit. Even in particularly cold parts of the moon, any ice gets vaporized and escapes into space. That's because they have no atmosphere.
Where does it go, though? I guess it lands on a meteorite or something.
It separates into its base components of hydrogen and oxygen. That's what it does. Because hydrogen is the most plentiful thing in the universe, according to science. Some of the most promising sites are known as permanently shadowed regions, parts of the lunar surface, often steep, deep craters that are never exposed to sunlight, and some of the chilliest places in the universe, like we've been everywhere in the universe, right? These areas are the best chance to find large quantities of water that can actually be used for resources, says Julie Stopar, a senior staff scientist at Lunar and Planetary Institute. It's all theory. That's all it is at this point. But with those benighted chasms, she said, or chasms, don't expect to find glaciers. The water isn't really there as an ice rink. It's mixed into the soil. There is some evidence of surface frost, but it's not going to be a huge volume. Yeah, because once the water evaporates, like you said, it just becomes stardust after that. It just doesn't come back because they have no atmosphere. Even if these craters of perpetual darkness are brimming with water, they would be highly precarious places for astronauts to explore, even with high-tech lunar rovers transporting their scientific and mining equipment along with a ride. It is questionable if we can go there and with a rover at all, says Zabel. If, however, rather than lunar soil is accessible and plentiful enough, it can be extracted. And there are multiple ways engineers have proposed to accomplish this, most of which involve heating a rock to expunge the water trapped in it. If there is enough ice near the surface, then heat can be applied to the surface directly, and the vapor captured under a dome called the capture tent. The vapor is then collected in a chilly container called a cold trap, where it turns into usable ice. And then you can make some drinks.
Yay!
Smart ass remark. In recent years, space agencies and industry partners have come up with different ways to use the heat to retrieve lunar ice. One proposal will be to deploy a rocket engine trapped under a pressurized dome to carve out deeper craters and extract more water than other methods would allow. Although focusing more on Mars, NASA also has its own dust-to-thrust concept where autonomous robots would dig an extraterrestrial soil transport to a processing facility and heat it up with ovens to remove the water. Yeah, NASA's completely full of shit if they're doing this. They're thinking about doing this on Mars instead of the moon. It takes 2 years to get to Mars. It's stupid. It's a dumb plan, and there's no reason to go to Mars. You're not going to live there. There's no point even going. Unless you're going to drill a hole into the core of Mars and live in it, you can't live there, man. Sorry, you're going to die of cancer within like a month. It'll be holes in your spacesuit. One of the most promising water extracting techniques comes from a courtesy of European Space Agency, a project named LUX, short for lunar water extraction, and a working prototype already exists. Either autonomous mining robots or astronauts would dump icy soil into a contraption's mouth. Zabel, the LUX project manager, explains that the heating up frozen lunar rock is quite difficult because of the lack of atmosphere on the moon and already frighteningly low surface temperatures. That's why LUX crucible stirs and rotates the lunar soil, which boils it more efficiently and removes the ice. There's a bunch of minutia here, and this article goes on for quite a while.
Classic science article right there.
Yeah, let's work on the last couple of paragraphs. And what will work on the moon will also likely operate elsewhere too. Making the lunar surface a self-sustaining environment will be helpful. But for astronauts to stay on the red planet, we're not going to talk about the moon again. It says but for astronauts to stay on the red planet, this sort of system will be essential. The whole moon to Mars architecture does rely on some of that being demonstrated on the lunar surface. But even if it does become possible to mass manufacture drinkable water and in turn rocket fuel on the moon, that leaves one rather awkward problem with no clear solution. The resources are not infinite, says Zabel. It's easy to imagine a situation where China and the US are racing to find and mine the valuable water before each other in the same cramped corner of the moon. There might be a conflict at some point. That's right. Our Russian astronauts and our Chinese astronauts are going to just start poking holes in their freaking each other's moon suits, and they're all going to suffocate. So that's how that's going to end. Where's your metaphor?
Yeah, suffocating. I mean, wait a minute.
Yeah, there's no air here.
I only would care if it was the rich people who were suffocating, but we all know they're not going to send the rich people over there to suffocate. They're going to send whoever is desperate enough to go do it, and then they're gonna die, and then we'll try again next time, and it's gonna get harder and harder to find people to sacrifice for their stupid plan.
Who are all the people going for these space joyrides anyway? They're all rich assholes, Jeff Bezos.
But they're not gonna get off and start working. Yeah, that's silly.
Yeah, put them all in space. See if they seriously. We need a canary in this coal mine. Well, there's another metaphor, but.
They want to harvest water from meteors because it's delicate, elusive, and vital for nurturing life in a barren landscape. But like that, it's a distant alien flower. Trying to collect water from a distant alien flower, which you don't even know how it works. What is this? It's an alien flower. Can we eat it? Can we lick it? Does it have water in it? Yeah, sure. Do all of those, Ellen.
Yep.
Do all of those. Part-tide Clyde. Please, eat the alien flower.
If I was to create a base on the moon, I would drill into the moon and live under the surface. That way you're avoiding ultraviolet rays and everything else.
But what if you're worried about the moon collapsing on itself, like a sinkhole?
Well, then tell everybody to get their cameras out, right? Because it's going to be cool to watch until the tides shift.
If the moon goes away, our tides will kill us all. That's what they did anyways in a scientific... They're like, if the moon disappeared, the tides would kill us all. The water would take us over.
There'll be a massive tidal wave. Yeah. There'll be a massive tidal wave from the pulling stopping, but eventually it'll just settle in the water. It'll just settle and probably freeze. I don't know. I don't know what will happen. I don't want to be around for it. Well, anyway, there's your...
I'm not going to be around for it. Yes, that's true as well.
The Chinese and the Americans and whoever else, India, going up there and just... poking holes in each other's spacesuits and just we kill
and hoping for the best. Yeah,
that's our piece of dirt. You know, whatever. I love how conflict.
We can make money off that somehow, someday. Mm-hmm. Oh goodness, you've rolled the limerick now. You're just the poet master today. It's a good thing you're such a great writer.
You might want to wait for the results for that assessment.
My next stories are...
I would compare this to the It's a Wonderful Life thing, where they cut out the entire part where it's Pottersville. They went, you know, how a story has, you know, the what do you call the person who's the main character? What do you call him? The
protagonist?
Yeah, you have the protagonist, you have an antagonist, you have a conflict, and your resolution. Yes. Those four things are essential in the drama, right? They skipped right over to conflict. They just said, fuck it, let's go right to the resolution. Everybody's like, what the hell just happened? Nothing happened, and all of a sudden everybody's celebrating. Okay. Anyway, that's kind of what they want to do. They want to get to the end, the resolution, without the conflict. And humans always have
without
conflict.
going through all the kinks that will happen.
Right.
All right, my story is coming from Spain. There is an illegal rave happening in the Senajo Reservoir in Albacete, and it's threatening to run until Three Kings Day. Now, when is Three Kings Day? I don't know, because I'm not Spanish. I don't celebrate Three Kings Day. So it happens on... It's also considered the baptism of Jesus. And it's observed by Christians and Alawites. But when is it? January 6th. Okay, so the rave is planning to run until next week. This illegal rave. Around 300 civil guard officers. Oh, this is on El Pais. By nobody. But Miguel Andorjoar took the video, I guess. Around 300 civil guard officers are monitoring the illegal party, which they unsuccessfully try to stop on December 31st. As in recent years, the big fucking party, that's what it's called, has begun in a remote area of Spain and threatens to last until the 6th of January. Attempts by the civil guard have failed to prevent participants in this illegal party from setting up camp somewhere in the country. They have finally settled near the Senajo Reservoir in Albacete, between the towns of Jerez and Helene. Some 300 officers from the civil guard are now monitoring the rave, which so far has proceeded without incident. The first day of this massive electronic music festival, which has brought together more than 1,000 cars, caravans, and vans, passed without incident, according to sources in the civil guard. Officers from the Albacete command and from other provinces such as Madrid, Murcia, Valencia, and Seville have been deployed to the area. The area is closed to prevent further access by people and vehicles, while also ensuring safety on nearby roads. The AB 4808 highway is closed from kilometer 0 to 12, according to the Spanish Directorate General of Traffic, DGT. Various groups, including the Animal and Plant Protection Society of the Sierras del Segura and the Alcaraz and Association of Social Work Professionals Tiendo Redis are spreading information among those attending the festival, asking them to respect the territory and its neighbors. The leaflets, written in Spanish, French, and English, contain key information about the area, safety warnings, emergency phone numbers, and an explicit appeal not to block the main access road to the region. They specifically request that the N330 highway, Helene Puente de Hiar, be kept clear, as it is considered a vital artery for access to the Helene Hospital and emergency medical services for municipalities such as Jerez. Socovos, Letour, and Elche de la Sierra, they remind people that they are a very isolated area with an aging population that needs guaranteed access to healthcare services at all times. The leaflets also include clear warnings about the Senajo Reservoir, reminding visitors that it is not a swimming area. Yeah, do not swim in reservoirs. In case you're wondering if that you haven't learned that yet, don't ever swim in a reservoir. But it's a fishing area, and that underwater there are ruins of old village of La Alcantarilla de Llover, as well as numerous fishing hooks, making swimming a dangerous practice. You don't want to step on a fishing hook. It's not fun. The first signs of this rave were detected Tuesday night, which I believe was the 31st, right? They said, oh no, the 30th of December, 2025, when a large number of vehicles, many of them caravans and vans, began arriving in Tobara, Albacete, coming from other countries such as France and Denmark, with the intention of setting up a Canajo reservoir. Initially, the Civil Guard managed to break them up in early hours of the 30th to the 31st, and the partygoers tried to move to the village of Cordovia in the nearby town of Tobara, although they eventually returned to the Senaja Reservoir, where they managed to start partying late on the 31st of December. At the beginning of 2026, this massive party, which lacks any permits or authorization, was held near Ciudad Real Airport. Oh no, sorry. They're saying last year at the beginning of 2025. So in January of 2025, when this party happened last year, it was held near the Ciudad Real Airport, drawing thousands of people in vans, camper vans for 6 days. In previous years, they chose destinations where Fuente Alamo in the region of Murcia and La Peza in Granada. These types of gatherings are usually organized privately through messaging platforms and social media such as WhatsApp, Telegram, and Facebook groups like Technival. They involve the setup of sound equipment, stages, stalls, and fast food stands. Despite this, year after year, the organizers who return with their party as New Year's Eve approaches remain unidentified. The big fucking party isn't the only rave happening in Spain these days. Since the 30th of December, the Mossos de Esquadra Catalan police have been monitoring another illegal party taking place near Les Mataltes Industrial Park in La Siena, Tarragona, with around 1,000 people gathered. The Catalan rave started on New Year's Eve and is expected to last all weekend. The city council has reported that they have been working on a control operation since Thursday morning, the 30th of December, in conjunction with the local police. So I guess if you want to have an illegal party, go to Spain, because they don't try to arrest you for it. They kind of just say, hey, can you be careful and don't harm local citizens? I guess it's just too big of a party to stop. So they kind of just accept that it's happening and try to make sure everything's safe and people can still access whatever infrastructure they need to. Your mic is muted.
So it must be time for me to talk.
Yes.
All right. This is your limerick. You said the rave in Spain, so that just set me on. The rave in Spain has a mission, a big fucking party with a new addition. And the pamphlet said, Franco is still dead, and we didn't expect the Spanish Inquisition.
I love not having that Spanish Inquisition. We don't need another one of those. Okay, great limerick. My next story is about some economic news for the UK. They're trying to recover their manufacturing. They used to be a huge manufacturing area during World War II, for example, and before that. But they kind of outsourced, I should say, all that stuff. And then they realized, wait a minute, we don't provide anything for the rest of the global market. Whoops, let's try doing that again. So luckily, the manufacturing recovery has picked up pace in December. Seeing as it's January now, we have all the numbers. This is from Anna Wise on The Independent. The UK's manufacturing sector grew at the fastest pace in 15 months in December, as the impact of uncertainty about the autumn budget and the Jaguar Land Rover cyber attack began to fade, a new survey shows. The S&P Global UK Manufacturing PMI survey, which watched closely by economists, showed a reading of 50.6 in December, up from 50.2 in November. That's just 1 month increase. Any reading above 50 indicates that activity is growing, while any source below means it's contracting. So it's still growing. Even if it's slightly growing, it's still growing. Manufacturing output increased for the third month in a row, and the level of new orders from firms rose for the first time since September 2024. So they've finally risen since 2 years ago. Well, I guess 1 year ago. Some businesses benefited from the conditions improving at the turn of the year, having come under pressure from challenges in the parts of the market. This includes those across the supply chain affected by the production shutdowns at Jaguar Land Rover, JLR, after the British car maker was impacted by a major cyber attack at the end of August. The incident was linked to a drop in overall motor manufacturing during September. Sentiment also showed signs of improving since autumn budget at the end of November, which provided some certainty over tax and policy measures impacting the UK industrial sectors. Demand within the UK was the main driver of a growth in new orders for manufacturers last month, with intakes of new work from overseas contracting for nearly 4 years. So they're not exporting a lot, but they are having great sales internally in the UK. However, the rate of decline in the new export businesses was mild, with UK firms pointing to signs of recovery in demands from the US, the Asia Pacific, and Middle East regions last month. Rob Dobson, director of S&P Global Market Intelligence, said, "The domestic market remained a positive spur to growth, while new export businesses, despite having now fallen for almost 4 consecutive years, took a sizable stride towards stabilizing." So they're probably at something like, they won't give me a number anywhere, but let's say they're probably at like 40, so they're dropping, and maybe it went to 40.2 or something, so it's headed upwards. UK manufacturers benefited from several reduced headwinds towards the end of the year, as the negative impacts on the uncertainty surrounding the autumn budget, tariffs, and the JLR cyber attack all moderated. The start of 2026 will show if growth can be sustained after these temporary boosts subside. Mr. Dobson said that drivers of growth need to shift more towards rising demand and away from firms clearing backlogs of work. Employment within the sector also fell for the 14th month in a row, but at the slowest rate since the period of job shedding began. So that might be stabilizing too. Chris Barlow, head of manufacturing at accountancy and advisory firm MHA, said its clients are expecting hiring to continue to slow in 26 and are instead looking to find ways to work more efficiently, often by automating or improving their processes. He added, "Government measures such as the confirmed increase to the minimum wage, alongside the impact of salary sacrifice cap, are making businesses cautious about hiring new staff." He also said improving demand in the UK would be vital for manufacturing's prospects in 2026, given the path ahead for the global trade is not expected to get any easier. So, mostly good news for the manufacturing industry in the UK. People are scared of hiring, but you might still be able to get a job in manufacturing if you so desire to get one, especially at these higher wages. Higher wages might still be able to, probably only hiring at higher levels, right? Managers and stuff. They're not going to be hiring a normal kind of line worker. They're probably just going to try to replace that with some sort of automation and stuff. But there's your news on that small industry. Well, it's not small, but smaller than others.
Right. Okay. So I guess I got a limerick for you again.
Yes. Give me your limerick.
I had to wrangle one here. All market growth is relative, right? That's a fact. All market growth is relative. All predictions about growth are tentative. Neither never alters. The rich of the richest don't falter. They should be taxed more for preventative. Because
Yeah.
the reason we're
Woo!
poor and the reason we stay poor is because the rich want to control all of our lives and keep us down so we don't have to pay us. You can look at the
Yeah, and I am
level
not
of
a
CEO pay.
big supporter of the whole, they raised the wages, so we're not going to hire anybody thing that the economist said or whatever. He was like, oh, they're not going to hire anyone.
Well,
Because the UK says people deserve more money.
Taxing rich people killed our economy. We had 8 years of uninterrupted growth with uninterrupted job growth under Bill Clinton. We had 8 years of uninterrupted job growth under Barack Obama, and they both raised the tax rates on rich people, and it helped the economy. Because rich people, again, do not spend their money. They keep it, or they invest it somewhere and try to turn it into more money.
They just put it back in, basically. It's not
poor
going anywhere.
People,
yeah.
When poor people get money, they spend it immediately. This is a fact. When people get food stamps, they have to spend it immediately. Otherwise, they lose that privilege of having food stamps, or that benefit of having food stamps. If you didn't spend it, you didn't need it. That's kind of how that works in a lot of states. So it gets spent. So giving money to poor people works. Giving money to rich people does nothing. Anyway, that's my little...
Your diatribe. Let's go to our next segue for your story. I think it's only one, right?
I think. Pretty sure. Yeah, it's about Iran.
And I'm going to re-roll because I got... I got mixed metaphor this time. You're getting all the poetry, I'm getting all the figurative language, and together we're writing a book.
What do you got?
Talk about the protests in Iran.
Okay, Iran. This thing says it's 22 minutes, so we're going to cut it down. IranIntl.com or IRANINTL.com has a story. Sinai. Day 4 of Iran protests. Nationwide protests were held in Iran for 4th day in a row. On Wednesday, which was 2 days ago, so probably another one today, which is yesterday, would have made it 5. Maybe another one today, which makes 6. But this story is 2 days older. So we'll allow for that. With fresh rallies reported in multiple cities, a harsh response from security forces and growing calls for regime change by both protesters and politicians across the world. Demonstrators took to the streets in cities including Isfahan, Hamadan, Barbol, Dolaran, Bag Malik, and Pian, chanting slogans against Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, backing exiled Princess Reza Pahlavi, and commemorating slain protesters from previous uprisings, such as teenager Artin Rahmani from IZEH. In Isfahan, nighttime protesters were filmed chanting, "Don't be afraid, we're all together," and "Death to the dictator," while in Delaran Bag Malik, demonstrators shouted, those 2 cities, shouted pro-monarchy slogans. Oh, you want a king. Okay, that's going to be much better. Let's have some one guy decide everything. A different guy, though. That makes no sense. This is the national slogan, Reza Pahlavi, Javed Shah. No, long live the Shah. It calls for Khamenei to be overthrown. Long live the Shah. Remember, the Shah of Iran was a terrible human being, too. But I guess nobody's alive to remember that because he was overthrown in 1979. Security forces responded with force in several locations with reports of footage of gunfire and tear gas in cities such as Nahabad, Asadabad, and Hamadan, where residents were seen standing their ground, including one protester who faced down a water cannon. I mean, how long did he face it down? Once they turned it on, it probably didn't work. Facing down probably didn't work that well. In Babul, crowds intervened to stop security forces from arresting a demonstrator, while in Tehran, the one city I've heard of in this whole group, a student leader in the University of Tehran, Sarah Karimi, was detained after a raid on her home with her whereabouts unknown. Oh, she's being tortured. Prominent culture and religious figures also weighed in, with top Sunni cleric Maulavi Abdul Hamid saying crushing living conditions and political dead end are driving the revolt, and acclaimed filmmaker Jafar Panahi described the unrest as an uprising to push history forward, and now that the shared pain has turned into a cry in the streets. Western politicians continue to line up, trying to protest. There's Rick Scott, who's a fraudster. Who cares what he has to say? Another Republican says something, but whatever. Swedish MEP, I don't know what his politics are, so we'll quote him. Charlie Weimers urged to the EU to stand on the right side of history by cutting diplomatic ties with Tehran's rulers, backing internet access for Iranians, and engaging with opposition leaders about post-Islamic Iran. Yeah, you don't need a religion running your government. That goes for this country too, especially this country. As protests over economic and political conditions enter a fourth day, Iran's authorities appear to be pursuing a dual strategy, offering dialogue and limited concession while issuing firm warnings to deter escalation. Let's go down a little bit farther. Conciliatory language from the government was accompanied by firm warnings from other power centers. Iran's Prosecutor General Mohammad Mavohede Azad described peaceful livelihood protests as part of social realities, but warned that any attempt to turn economic protests into tools of insecurity, destruction of public property, or the execution of externally designed scenarios will be met with the response from authorities. A lot of big words. I think this guy probably ought to be captured and executed because he's threatening. You're threatening protesters who are so far peaceful. You're threatening them with violence and assuming they're going to get violent. In other words, you're going to make them get violent. You're going to trigger them. You're going to send an agent provocateur to start some violence, and you're going to get used for a precursor, an excuse to start slaughtering people wholesale. That's what totalitarian, authoritarian regimes do. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps also issued a statement on Monday making the anniversary of the 2009 protests crackdown. It warned it would confront any sedition. Again, sedition is not a thing. Disagreeing with your government is patriotism. It's not sedition. Unrest, cognitive warfare, or security threat. Now, trying to overthrow your government could be interpreted as sedition, but again, these guys are the ones that overthrow their government, right? The Revolutionary Guard, they're the ones that did it. They overthrew the government. Why do they act like they're the only ones that can do it? It warned it would confront it, anyway, accusing what it called the enemies of Islamic revolution of attempting to recreate unrest through psychological operation and narrative warfare. Nah, they're just tired of your stupid bullshit, dude. The government has also sought to ease public pressure by reiterating its promise to pay a monthly cash subsidy of 7 billion reals per person. You know how much 7 billion reals
Did you look it up?
converts to in dollars? Yeah, it's right next to it in parentheses. Oh. It is $5.17. Woohoo, $5! I got my $5 check. Ooh, I'm rich.
I'm not gonna kill anybody. Well, it depends on how much you can buy with that amount, I guess.
Yeah, I've got a $1 billion real note. Look at all the zeros on it, right? They just put a freaking, what do they call an exponent over it, right? Officials present the measure as targeted support for the households struggling with rising prices. Critics say the amount has been eroded by inflation, is likely to offset the sharp decline in purchasing power, a calm growing public anger. Give me $5 ain't doing shit for me. I can afford to eat for.
Are you sure it's morning. 5 billion equals $5?
No, 7 billion. It has 9 zeros. That's definitely a billion.
Interesting.
7 billion reals is equal to $5.17. That's what it says here. I'm not an expert. Your market rates may vary because the money markets always change. Online reports initially claimed that the 18-year-old had been killed. Well, let's do this again. In Tehran, where demonstrations quickly spread across market streets and universities Monday, Tuesday, there so far have been no confirmed reports of security forces firing at protesters. However, on Wednesday, security forces opened fire in the towns of Fasa in southern Fars province and Kudansk in Lorestan province as protesters attempted to enter government buildings. Online reports initially claimed an 18-year-old had been killed in Fassa, but video later surfaced showing the young man alive and saying he was unharmed. Protests reached several universities on Tuesdays. Basically, you get the gist of the story. People are pissed, and one of the main things is they don't have any water. The government has decided, oh, we won't have any water restrictions on anybody until it's way too fucking late. And people are just using their water like crazy, wasting it. And now they're out of water. The reservoirs are tapped, their water towers are empty, and everybody's pissed off at, oh, pray to Allah. I guess that's their solution, which again, religions running your government, that should never happen. They believe in shit they can't prove. Understand that part. Their faith is not your problem. That is their faith, even if you believe in that religion, even if you go to whatever church they go to. They should not be running the government. They're doing it on superstition alone, and that is not a policy. That's just fear. It's fear-mongering. There's your story.
I was just looking up quickly how much it actually costs to be, like, what that means, like what $5 actually means, because there's plenty of countries where $5 is actually a lot, right? So
it better be a lot, because I got a wheelbarrow full of reals.
So it says here it's 26,000 real to buy a liter of milk. Eggs, 45,000. This is at least for current estimated. It says here it costs around 49 million real to live in, to be a family of 4, 13 million to be a single person. So the cost of living is 69% lower than the country I'm in. I don't know why it's specifically telling me the Netherlands. I guess it's because I'm in the Netherlands right now. But
well, anyway, they did put 9 zeros. If they intended to put 6, they should have put 6. But that's
I know it's fine. I was just trying to understand what that means, right? Because $5 actually looks like it goes for a lot in the country. But no, they don't want money. They want solution, right? That's not what it's not a solution. It's just a buyout, basically. It's complete buyout. Yeah, basically milk in USD is 63 cents. Right, you can buy but if you want to have a meal for 2 at a mid-range restaurant, that's going to cost you $18. So it's definitely not enough to, buy over a couple going out for a nice fancy dinner or anything. But you will be able to buy a lot of your, your groceries, I guess, for that much money. Maybe not a whole set of groceries, but a lot of groceries. Right. My metaphor is the protests in Iran is a dam bursting under the pressures of voices clamoring for freedom.
Let's get this here. Hold on. All right, they're cheering. They just can't get over it.
And that's your only story, right?
The Iranian rial equals 0.0000. That's 4 zeros after the decimal point, and then there's 24 dollars. So it's less than, like, 0.01 would be 10 cents, right?
Yeah. Like I said, I just looked up. I went to a source I use for like life. What is it called? Cost of living calculator. And then it says, it just says here, if you want to buy an apartment in Iran, it would cost you $1,000, right? So they're not gonna. Nobody's gonna be paying their rent with this money, right? It's 100% not. It's the only thing you could do with this money is buy some groceries, and not even all of your groceries, just some of your groceries. Right. Let's roll our segue wheel for.
Yeah, to me, it's like, you give them $5, it seems like nothing, but I guess it is a lot of money to them.
It's something, but it's not enough to like, hey, I'm going to give up my freedom. If it was $500, then be like, hey, that's half of my rent, But it's not even half of their rent.
Have you ever noticed that whenever a Republican president gets in trouble, they issue tax rebates to everybody to stimulate the economy? Why is that? That's the only time they direct the socialism, was when they're in trouble. Because that's what they do. They do it all the time. George W. Bush did it when he got in trouble. Tax rebates!
Oh my God, we're literally rolling the same thing over and over again on the segue wheel.
Yeah.
It's like limerick and then mixed metaphor, limerick, then mixed metaphor. One day we'll roll something different. Please, I'm begging you. It's gonna land on mixed metaphor again. God damn. Hypothetical, thank you. Alright, give me a hypothetical for my culture news. Which...
Alrighty, I'll try to put a video.
We're going to be talking about BTS's comeback. It's finally been announced. They did say they were coming back in 2026, but we've been given, I think, a hint to the album title. And also, well, it's going to be the first album that isn't an anthology album, because they haven't released, I think, Mott 7, B was their last album, and B came out in the middle of the pandemic. Mott 7 was their last actual album that was based on a concept, right? B came out because, oh shit, we're stuck in a pandemic, right? We can't go on tour or anything. So they were like, let's create an album, their pandemic album. Everyone had a pandemic album, and that was their pandemic album. So technically, their last album that they released was that, which is official, like BTS, no pandemic, nothing album, was Mott 7, which I think was in 2018, 2019. So it's been a long time since I've had a full album that was an anthology album, right? All new tracks, all new music. That's a lot of words. So this is on The Independent by Shahana Yasmin. K-pop group BTS have officially confirmed their long-awaited comeback with a new album set for release on the 20th of March. Mark your calendars. Marking the group's return as a complete 7-member lineup after nearly 4 years. The announcement was made by the group's management label Big Hit Music on their social media account in a post titled 20th March Comeback Confirmed, and will officially see all 7 members reunite after completing their mandatory military service in South Korea, which we celebrated, I think, in June when they're all back, but they've been taking, they've been getting back in shape, learning probably some new dances, making that music, right? You can't just pull it out of your ass. You have to take some time to make the music. They've written their music. They've gone back in shape for being idols instead of being bulky military men. They slimmed down, I guess you could say. And on October last year, Bloomberg reported that South Korean septet composed of Jin, they put a space in between J and I, Suga, J-Hope, Jimin, V, and Jungkook have been working on their group album. The new album will be their first since the 2022 anthology Proof and the 2020 studio album B. The band has last performed together at their concert in Busan, which was their going away concert, which was a free concert, in October 2022, following which Big Hit Music, the HYBE subsidiary that manages the group, announced that all 7 members would fulfill their mandatory military service. Before Big Hit Music confirmed the comeback, the members had teased their return through printed copies of handwritten letters that were sent to select members of the group's devoted fan base known as ARMY. In the letters, Arm wrote in Korean that he had been waiting for this comeback for more than anyone else. And Jimin wrote that the year we've been waiting for has finally arrived. BTS went on hiatus after they announced in late 2022 that they had to begin fulfilling their South Korean mandatory military service, starting with Jin, the eldest member, who enlisted in December of 2022. J-Hope followed in April of 23, Suga began his service in September, and the remaining members enlisted together in December of 2023. Jin and J-Hope were discharged in 24 and have been carrying the fan base as slowly other members came back in June 2025 that saw the end of everyone's service and all people had been reunited together. Since 2022, the band members have focused on various solo projects, both before and after returning to their military service, including having shows, going on travel things, not just music, just doing all sorts of different variety content. I've greeted you as solo artists of the past 2 years, and now I finally get to greet you again as part of the team, Jin wrote in his letter, having recently wrapped up his global solo tour. BTS has been teasing their comeback since the members all returned, with the first official confirmation that they were working on an album made in July last year when they got back together. In a live stream on the online fan platform Weverse, frontman RM announced that the group was planning to release a new group album next spring. Starting in July, all 7 of us will be gathering and begin preparations. Since this is a full group album, it will reflect everyone's thoughts. We're approaching it with the mindset of going back to our roots, he added. So expect some more hip-hop? Maybe? We're planning a world tour to go along with the new album. We'll be visiting different parts of the world, so please look forward to it. Let's hope it's not just 15 dates in the US and 1 date in Europe. Like, they always say world tour. It's not just Koreans, but like Americans and Europeans will do it too. They'll say world tour, and then they'll have like 0 dates in Africa, 0 dates in the Middle East. Only like 15 different dates in the US, 5 different dates in Europe, and then like 5 different dates in Asia. And it's like Africa and the Middle East get completely left out. Eastern Europe, don't even talk about Eastern Europe, you know. So let's hope there's actually going to be a world tour where they go to all the countries and continents except for Antarctica, and maybe not all the countries, but close enough. BTS debuted in 2013 under the then independent Big Hit Entertainment, standing out in South Korea's tightly managed idol system with a mix of self-produced music and social commentary. Their early work tackled themes like academic pressure, identity, and mental health, helping the group build a devoted online following. Commercial success followed with the 2016 album Wings and the 2017 single DNA, which became the first Korean boy band track to enter the US Billboard Hot 100. Not the world US, not the world Billboard, but the US. People in the US were listening to the song. In 2020, their English language style single Dynamite debuted at number 1, making them the first all South Korean act to top the chart. And that was from their Beat album, which was during the pandemic. They wanted to release a song that was all about, hey, it's not so bad. We're doing stuff and things. Keep on living on. So there's your news about the BTS comeback in March, and some rumors I've been seeing on my social media is that the new album is going to be called Hello. And because some members in a live stream were yelling hello, and then other members were like, shh, stop that. So that's the theory right now, that the new album is going to be called Hello, which is actually really fitting for, being gone for 4 years, being, hey guys, we're back. And that's my story. I think it's if they're doing that, it's a very clever way to do that.
Yeah, my original hypothetical was about, is my mic on?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. My original
I'll let you
hypothetical.
know when I don't hear you, but if I don't say anything, I can hear you.
Original hypothetical is, hey, why isn't there a North Korean boy band? But apparently there's a group
There's
called
actually a lot of different groups. Yeah.
One verse featuring 2 North Korean defectors. So my real hypothetical is, hey, why couldn't they just stay together like the Everly Brothers? Remember that we did that to famous Marine Corps people, and Everly Brothers, they both joined the Marine Corps at the same time, and they were in the same unit, and they performed on TV in their dress blues.
Oh, really? Well, I actually have an answer for you, and that's because North Korean military servicemen are not allowed to make money. So they can't do any of their pop idol stuff and make money on the side.
I know that's why the answer is there. These are North Korean defectors anyway. I know there's an answer. I know the answer. I just didn't.
Oh, okay.
That was my original proposition. Right? My real proposition.
It would have been cool if they were just doing. They were doing like a, all in military uniform and performing shows. But I think they try to get that. Everyone's the same thing. So if there's a bunch of people, performing on stage, they don't feel like they're all the same.
Totally,
I guess.
The Marine Corps totally takes away your identity, so yes. I don't know what the difference would be, because these guys were still in boot camp, and I didn't go anywhere in boot camp myself, but I guess because you're a celebrity.
That's why I'm saying they were special, right? They were still traveling and performing.
No, they weren't. They were still in boot camp. They weren't traveling anywhere. They got
You said
excuse
they
in
were
boot
on
camp.
stage.
Yeah, they got excuse in boot camp to go on the Ed Sullivan
Exactly,
show.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That they wouldn't let that happen in Korea.
Yeah,
Or
I'm saying
South
they
Korea.
should have because they should have because the Everly Brothers appearing on TV was actually heavy promotion for the Marine Corps, right? Marine
Yeah,
Corps,
but they don't need
go on
promotion.
TV.
It's
You're just
mandatory.
lose.
It doesn't matter. They don't need to promote it. People are forced to join it anyway. That doesn't matter.
Hey, I don't know if you noticed, but if you join the Marine Corps, everything's mandatory too. Once you sign that dotted line, there's absolutely no difference. Whether you're, and by the way, they
understand
joined.
that, but I'm saying there's
they
no.
Do I get to make my point? You don't know what I'm saying.
No,
because
I
you
understand what you're
haven't finished
saying,
the
but
point. No,
I'm
you
just saying
don't.
South Korea
No, you
doesn't
don't.
need marketing
Are you
because
familiar
you
with
have
the United
to
States
you have
draft?
to be signed up for them anyways. They don't need marketing saying, "Hey, sign up." You're gonna be signed up as soon as you turn 18.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Exactly. I had to sign up when I was 18, so I know this experience, okay? I had to register for the draft, as did everybody back in the 60s.
Yeah, but
there
this
was
isn't a draft. It's mandatory service. Doesn't matter.
Elvis. I guess
Every single human man in Korea will have to
Only
enter
men.
the military.
Is it only men? Why only men?
Yes.
Really? See, again, it's not completely everybody. Plus, if you're not able-bodied,
I get it.
If you can't pass your physical, you don't join.
Yeah, I understand
There's
that.
all
I'm just
kinds of
saying,
restrictions.
I don't think they need the marketing.
My
That's all.
point was, when you registered for a draft, right, back in the day, when they had a draft, you get a number, and if it's a low number, you might as well enlist. And that's probably what they did. I'm going to join the Marine Corps Reserve, which Marine Corps Reserve didn't go to
Who's
Vietnam.
they? Who are we talking about?
Everly Brothers.
Oh,
when you say it
okay.
wasn't compulsory, yeah, they were about to get drafted. That's why they joined.
So they just joined
Elvis got
anyways.
drafted.
Yeah.
Right, and they picked the service they wanted to be in. Not like, you're in the Army. That's what the draft is. You're in the Army. Tough shit. You know. Okay, anyway. That's enough hypothetical.
Thank you for your hypothetical.
I
I'm gonna give you a sound or something.
Let's do this day in history as fast as humanly possible. Close a couple windows here. Open up a window. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you very
let's
much.
roll the segue for
an
this day in
argument.
history. Did you send me a video?
Yeah, I did. And thank you for the clarification, because I wasn't sure what the issue was. I know North Korea, you're compelled to serve, for sure. Probably even
Yeah,
the
but
women,
South Korea,
right?
I mean, because they're still technically in war, both Koreas require mandatory
DMZ's
service.
still there.
Because you don't know.
Yeah,
You never
American.
know if, Kim Jong-un will wake up on the wrong side of the bed and say, you know what, we're attacking today. So they want to make sure
Yep,
the
there's still
entire...
Americans there. There's still
Yeah.
Americans sitting on the DMZ. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's still a war. It's an active...
They just want to
an
make sure
active-
everyone, their population is ready to
armistice.
defend themselves. This
Yeah,
wheel
they've
is
been in an
pissing me off
armistice.
today. It's like rolling the same
Armistice
thing
for
over and over again. I don't know
70
why.
years.
Let me reset the
70
entire overlay and maybe that will
4
fix it. It's
years.
like
74 years of armistice is what they've had. They're still
it's literally
at war.
just hypotheticals, mixed metaphor, hypothetical, mixed metaphor.
Stalemate.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hormonal today. It's on its period. I will write you some haikus. It's my turn to make some poetry. We're just haiku and metaphor day today, I guess.
Too bad it's not on its comma or its
I've rolled the wheel like 10 additional times unnecessarily just to get something different.
You got
Ridiculous.
haiku, which means you gotta use your noggin. All right. This is on this day in history as we claw back in history all the way back to January the 2nd. And all the birthdays and whatnot. I don't need my glasses for this. They just reflect the light. Ooh. Did you know tomorrow on January 3rd, since we're going to be on the air tomorrow, Aretha Franklin became the first woman voted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1987.
Congratulations.
Should have been somebody else because she was not the progenitor. I would say, I can't think of names right now.
Well, I'm glad it wasn't your decision. Oh, what do you mean it should have been
Sister
someone else?
Tharp should have been the first one. I can't think of her first name. I want to say Rosetta Tharp. Yeah, Sister Rosetta Tharp. She should have been the first. Guitar playing preacher. In 1492, Ferdinand II and Isabella II, the first monarchs of unified Spain, captured Grenada, ending a centuries-long series of military campaigns waged by Christian states against Muslim rulers in Spain and Portugal. Spain's again in the news. In 1492, what else happened that year? Later in the year, under Ferdinand and Isabella. What else happened? It was Columbus sailed the ocean blue. The old poem. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, and up on the banks the Indians stood and said, "There goes the neighborhood." 1861, Frederick William IV, King of Prussia from 1840, died at Sans Souci Palace on this day in 1861. I didn't know Sans Souci was a palace. I thought it was a shopping center here in California, Maryland, Lexington Park.
Well, I guess that's what it's named after.
Must be. It's one word, though, Sans Souci Palace. And this happened in Prussia, where some of our ancestors are from. 1863, the Battle of Stones River came to an end during the American Civil War. Bloody but indecisive, the clash was a psychological victory for Union forces, which were led by General William S. Rosecrans. Finally, a victory, the Battle of Stones River, as the Emancipation Proclamation took hold, and the mighty body blow to the South, as they totally lived in fear after that. I guarantee you they did. 1896, Ziga Vertov, a motion picture director, was born in Russia, whose kinoglas or film eye theory was widely influential during the 1920s. Film eye theory, like looking to the camera? I don't know. 1904, Sally Rand was born in Elkton, Missouri, who achieved fame as a fan dancer in the 1930s, later deployed 5-foot elastic bubbles in her performance. Yeah, she was a stripper. Let's go ahead and call her the girl who invented the fan dance. Tantalizing uptight people, I guess. 1905, Russian forces surrendered Port Arthur to the Japanese in the Russo-Japanese War in 1905. Yep, the Japanese were definitely kicking ass once they decided to do that, weren't they? 1920, the most spectacular of the Palmer raids took place when thousands of people were arrested in more than 30 U.S. cities, accused of being foreign anarchists, communists, radical leftists. The raids, led by U.S. Attorney General fascist A. Mitchell Palmer, with a primary goal of deporting those arrested with the combination of the era's Red Scare. Oh my God! They're not rights for people. They must be communists. 1935, the trial of Bruno Hauptmann, who was framed for murdering the Lindbergh baby. Hauptmann, who was denied involvement in crimes, found guilty and executed in 1936. He probably had nothing to do with it, and they never actually caught the real criminals, and that's a fact. They executed the wrong damn person. But he was an immigrant, so there you go. We got to get rid of that.
Usual suspects, yet again.
Yeah, so
because everyone knows when you don't belong somewhere, you should do crimes so that people arrest you and kill you.
They questioned him in English, didn't understand what the hell they were saying, and they say he confessed to it. And that's all they needed. And he never confessed. Absolutely no reason to even convict him. They had no other evidence. 1950, Emil Jannings, who won the first Academy Award for Best Actor, died in Austria. In this day, 1950, probably wasn't even that old. For his roles in The Way of the Flesh in 1927 and The Last Command in 1928. And he went back to Austria, and by 1950, he was gone. It doesn't say how old he was. That was good information. 1967, after defeating incumbent Democrat by 1 million votes, Ronald Reagan, a one-time terrible actor who had become a major figure in conservative politics, was sworn as governor of California. And that's too bad, because people started thinking he was a real intelligent human being at some point. And he never was. He was a virulent racist who would use the N-word. He would call black people gorillas. And he banned assault weapons in the state of California because black people had them. Ronald Reagan is one of the worst human beings ever put on the planet. Because at one point in his life, he was a union leader. He was the head of the Screen Actors Guild, which is a union. And he turned and said, "Oh my God, there might be communists in the union. I'm going to turn Republican because Nancy tells me to do." And of course, Reagan, as president, fired an entire union. So hell of a union rep. Yeah, he was a piece of shit. Nothing Reagan did had any good consequences. Not a damn thing he did. 2004, NASA spacecraft Stardust collected dust grains from comet Wild 2. The cometary material was later revealed to contain amino acid glycine, an essential building block of life. Oof. That's pretty cool. 2024, Lee Jae-myung, we're talking about Korea, leader of the Democratic Party of Korea, died in an assassination attempt in Busan. He went on to become president of South Korea last year. Our featured event, 1839, the first photo taken of the moon. Louis daguerreotype, which became the name for the initial photographs, are called daguerreotypes. A French artist and chemist who was one of the photographic's first. Whoops. I went back. Let's go back a page. He took the first picture of the moon. In 1839, it was destroyed when his studio burned down shortly afterward. Our feature biography is Saint Therese of Lisieux, Roman Catholic nun. January 2nd, 1873 is her birthday in Alencon, France. And she died in 1897 at the age of 24. By 24, she'd already done enough things to be a saint. I wonder what she did in those short period of time. She only got to be 24. She died in Lisieux, France. Our other birthdays today, Isaac Asimov, American author of the Foundation series, I, Robot. 1938, David Bailey, British photographer. 1961, Todd Haynes, American screenwriter and director. And 1969 is the birthday of American fashion model Christy Turlington. Other birthdays are things today. It's National Cream Puff Day, National Buffet Day, and if they have cream puffs on your buffet, you've hit the jackpot. It's National Personal Trainer. It's National Personal Trainer Awareness Day. So be aware. There are things called personal trainers. And
be very aware if somebody comes up to you and asks, hey, what are you doing in the gym? They're probably a personal trainer and they're trying to get you to pay them.
Oh, you're doing them barbell, whatever these things. You're doing them.
Let me help you. Okay, you owe me $20. I give you some. What the hell? I've been swindled.
If you could afford a personal trainer, you have more money than me. It's nothing I would ever do. I mean.
And I'm not saying all personal trainers are like that, but there are a lot that do that, right? They come up to you, they're just trying to help you, and they're asking you for money.
Usually it's usually a rich person who can afford that shit, right? National Science Fiction Day, of course, because it's Isaac Asimov's birthday, and we already covered how old he is. And that's your silliness for today. Your haikus and limericks, and more haikus as we cover everything. On today, Friday, January 2nd, 2026, on Before Buffets with Cream Puffs.
Delicious. I've got 3 haikus for you. My first haiku. Silent orb revealed in the shadows of night's embrace. History captured. Before then, the moon actually used to scream every day at 12 a.m.
Yeah, it was like, hi, I'm
That's
here.
how we knew what time it was.
Yeah, it sounded like a rooster.
Yeah.
People mistake it for a rooster. Yeah.
In the starlit realms he wove tales of minds and machines. Robots dream of peace. Asimov is, of course, famous for creating the 3 laws of robotics, which is, you must listen to what you're told, you must not harm humans, and you can't counter those first 2 at all, no matter what it is, okay?
And make
that was
cookies.
A paraphrase, but...
The 4th law is bake some cookies, because humans love cookies.
Whisper the France rise, cream puffs cradle sweet dreams, distilled and drizzled bliss. A nice cream puff. Yeah, according to what it says on the page, it was invented in France, and everyone loved it. And got it too.
All right, so hopefully
that's it. We technically our first week of the year in the books.
Yeah, first 2 days.
And we hope you guys have a good 2026. We'll be here with news every day, every weekday anyways. And hope you have a good weekend. You can see the post and pre-bonus show stuff on Patreon in the Before Coffee supporter. As well as you can support us by just subscribing on YouTube on the Before Coffee podcast channel. We need more subscribers over there so YouTube knows that people enjoy watching our show and seeing us two whack balls cover the news and argue about things that don't really matter.
Right.
So don't forget to turn on those notifications so you know when we go live and post a video. Have a good weekend. And here is our mic drop moment.
Isaac Asimov.
All right.
This is from Asimov.
So to speak,
Asimov.
Right.
effort you made one time to
The
rational
Cavett interview.
explain a lot of the Bible miracles.
Oh, surprisingly little.
Didn't get a lot of traction.
This is what he looks like.
Well, I got some, yes.
Got the mutton
and
chops.
Also some letters telling me they were praying for me, which is kind.
That's
of them.
nice.
And occasionally, very occasionally, I'd get a letter calling me names.
People getting, Christians
But
or
then
whatever,
my
getting
usual
angry at
answer
him.
was to tell them that I'm sure
Yeah.
they thoroughly believed
believing
that
in
when
science.
I died, I was going to go to hell and suffer indescribable tortures for all of eternity. And in that case, why should they bother calling me names in addition?
Yeah, you're going to get, yeah.
Never got an answer.
I'm going to get tortured anyways. Just let it come to me.
Which ones
Yeah,
gave
what
you
does
the
it
most
even
trouble?
matter?
Parting of the Red Sea.
How does it hurt
burning
you
the
if I
bush?
go to hell?
Actually, what gives
Exactly.
me the most trouble is every time I write something supporting evolution. That somehow sets off people.
Supporting evolution.
Yes, they want to write back and tell me that evolution is just a theory, or they send me little tracts
Yeah.
which prove
Which is
that,
true, but,
human
you know.
beings have only existed for a few thousand
They want to
years,
justify
and
Noah's
so
Ark,
on.
which is virtually
Well, maybe
impossible.
somebody should clarify
They
the
want to
word theory,
pretend that was
since
a thing.
gravity is a theory too, but nobody doubts it, does he?
Well,
No.
a theory is a collection, is a system of thought that explains a great many
Gravity doesn't
disparate
exist because I can't prove it
observations and
exists.
puts them all into a single structure.
Can't
Otherwise,
measure it,
it's just a
therefore,
pile of
it doesn't
observations.
exist, right?
Yeah.
You might say
But it's
this:
obvious.
a pile of bricks are facts. An
pile of
architectural
bricks.
blueprint that you follow to build a structure is a theory.
Somehow theory's gotten the meaning of guesswork attached
Yes,
to it.
I know. That's because it's improperly used. A hypothesis.
Like a lot of things in
is a
science, we just,
suggested
the
possible
layman
theory,
paraphrases
which
it and
would
uses it simply,
require
and then it's not
support.
accurate, and
Once
then
it receives
everyone gets
sufficient
confused.
support, it becomes a theory.
That was a nice metaphor,
And
though.
theory of
Yeah.
evolution has incredible quantities of support in every branch of science, from biology, from chemistry, from geology, from everything. It is inconceivable, really, that evolution does not exist. The only arguments people
Yeah,
have on
the,
the exact
Is how
mechanism.
it's actually happening, yeah. What causes it?
The
What does it look
analogy
like?
is nobody is going to argue.
The
that
flu virus
automobiles
actively
don't exist,
mutating
or that it don't
to survive
drive
is
when
proof
you
of that.
take off the brake and step on the gas. As to what goes on under the hood,
But we're not
if you're not an
viruses. It
expert,
doesn't
there are
have
probably
to
many
be viruses.
theories. I myself don't know what goes on under the hood, but I know the car goes.
But the fact that species adapt and so on and change and
And that you have a whole series of
Fit survive.
fossils which show, and the biochemistry of the genes also shows relationships, and we actually see evolution work before our eyes, and many changes that take place in animals, usually in animals that are short-lived and have many young, so that evolution speeds up.
Yeah,
We
they're
find it in insects.
having a lot of generations.
remember Mort Saul's great joke. You look
The
at
same
great
people
leaders
that say
in this country,
natural
Washington,
selection doesn't
Franklin, Madison, Jefferson, and
exist
you
in
look at what we
nature.
have today
They
and what
practice
can
it
we
on
learn from
humans
this?
all the
A,
time.
Darwin was
Yeah.
wrong.
So,
Maybe that'll give some comfort to your
Exactly.
your enemies on
and
the evolution.
they just be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels: Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.